Chapter 5427. Ever since they came to the upper realm, there were only a few cultivators who were close to them. However, after eliminating Murong Jing and the others, they couldn't think of any other possibilities. Let's go take a look. Looking at Bailey Hong Zhuang's thoughtful appearance, Di Bei-chan smiled faintly and raised his hand to take her hand. Let's go. Feeling the warmth of his hand, Bailey Hong Zhuang's lips curved slightly as she smiled and nodded. Okay. However, when Di Bei-chan and Bailey Hong Zhuang saw who it was, they were confused, because they've never seen this person before. Within their line of sight, they saw a man wearing an azure robe. He was tall and had a jade-like face. He was definitely not someone that could be easily overlooked. This also made them understand that they had never seen this person before. Di Bei-chan didn't speak. He silently looked at the man. If he came to find them, there must be a reason. As expected, in the next moment, the man took the initiative to start conversation. I am Huang Futing. Greetings, young Master Di, Miss Bailey. I wonder why you've come to find me? Di Bei-chan was expressionless. Before he figured out the purpose of the man's visit, he wouldn't say anything. Huang Futing paused and subconsciously looked at Bailey Hong Zhuang. His expression was hesitant. Bailey Hong Zhuang noticed the change in his expression and couldn't help but say, "How about I leave first and you two talk?" Now that they were in the Di family, they didn't have to worry about the man's tricks. However, Di Bei-chan waved his hand. No need. You stay. Hong Zhuang is my wife. If you want to talk to me about something, just say it. If you don't want to talk about it, then please leave. Hearing this, Huang Futing was a little startled. Looking at Di Bei-chan and Bailey Hong Zhuang, his emotions were very complicated. However, after thinking for a moment, he said, "Actually, I took a risk to come here today because I have something to discuss with you." "What is it?" "I heard that young master is of the dark attribute." "Not bad," Di Bei-chan replied calmly. The news that he was of the darkness type had already spread out after the Immortal Cloud's secret realm. He had no intention of hiding it. "Actually, I'm also of the darkness attribute," Huang Futing said. Di Bei-chan's gaze paused for a moment before he heard Huang Futing continue. "Young Master Di, I'm sure you've heard about the current situation of darkness attribute cultivators. They're being suppressed and targeted everywhere. Their days are very difficult." "I know." Di Bei-chan nodded. He had already understood this situation when he had awakened the darkness attribute. At that time, even though he had awakened a max-level talent, he was still treated with disdain by everyone. The Holy Light Assembly even refused to give Hong Zhuang the cultivation manual because she was with him. This time, I'm here on behalf of the darkness attribute cultivators to ask for your help. After thinking for a while, Huang Futing directly stated the purpose of his visit today. After a short period of contact, he felt that Di Bei-chan wasn't an unreasonable person. Moreover, the reason why he hadn't come to look for Di Bei-chan during this period of time was because he had been trying to understand this person from various aspects. Even if Di Bei-chan had attainments in the power of darkness that others couldn't reach, if he wasn't good enough, it would be useless. Chapter 5428. As for my help, Di Bei-chan frowned slightly. This was his first time meeting Huang Futing. He was surprised that Huang Futing would say something like this. "Young Master Di, you are so talented in the darkness attribute. We feel that you are the one who can make the power of darkness stronger again. We want to follow you and hope that you can lead us to become stronger together." Huang Futing's expression was serious. He looked at Di Bei-chan with sincerity and a hint of eagerness. Whether it was Di Bei-chan or Bailey Hong Zhuang, they both understood that Huang Futing had been suppressed for too long. He had not seen any hope for so many years. When he finally saw a glimmer of light, he could not help but be so anxious. The two of them looked at each other. They were also amazed. In fact, when Di Bei-chan accepted He Xinjuan's inheritance, he had already shouldered the heavy responsibility of making the world accept the power of darkness. Before this, they had also discussed that they had to gather the cultivators of the darkness attribute together and make everyone stronger. Only in this way could they expand the influence of the power of darkness. As for the bad impression everyone had of the power of darkness, they could only slowly eliminate it through their efforts. They did not expect that the cultivators of the darkness attribute would take the initiative to find them. It was really interesting. Why should I help you? Di Beichun said indifferently. As soon as these words were spoken, Huang Futing was slightly stunned. He truly didn't know how to answer this question. Speaking of which, Di Beichun was the young master of the Di family. Whether it was his identity or status, it was not something they could reach. They urgently needed Di Beichun's help, but Di Beichun did not need them. In fact, they did not seem to be able to do anything for Di Beichun now. Young Master Di, I understand that we can't help you in any way now, but we are all people who know how to repay kindness. As long as you are willing to help us, we will follow you after we become stronger. We will follow you blindly. Huang Futing's voice was filled with determination. All these years, they had been like cockroaches, hiding everywhere. They were simply unable to live openly. Anyone who found out that they were dark attribute cultivators would look at them with disdain or even chase them away. As a result, they did not even have a stable place to stay. This kind of oppressive feeling was really too unbearable. They desperately hoped that one day they would be able to hold their heads high and be upright. This was the kind of life they wanted. How can I believe you? Di Beichun sized up Huang Futing. Even though everything Huang Futing showed was very sincere, he would not trust others so easily. Moreover, the Jun family and Xiao family were now thinking of ways to deal with him. No one knew whether this was a trap or not. Even if they were both darkness-type cultivators, it didn't mean that they were on the same side. Hearing Di Beichun's words, Huang Futing's eyes instantly brightened. Di Beichun was willing to continue listening, which proved that he still had a chance of success. I understand your concerns. I am willing to sign a master-servant contract so that you will have no worries. In the next moment, a hexagram star quietly formed. Huang Futing directly integrated his blood essence into the contract totem. Chapter 5429. As the two drops of blood essence fused into it, Di Beichun and Huang Futing had an additional connection. The master-servant contract was a kind of obedience contract. This meant that Huang Futing could never betray Di Beichun in the future. As long as he betrayed him, the contract would directly erase him. Bailey Hongzhuang did not expect Huang Futing to use such a method to make them believe him. However, this was indeed more convincing than other words. Young Master Di, you should believe my sincerity now. Even though the master-servant contract had been carried out, Huang Futing's expression still did not change. His expression was calm, as if he had already made up his mind before coming. Tell me about your current situation. Di Beichun's handsome eyes were tinged with a trace of seriousness as he asked in a deep voice. If Huang Futing and the others were indeed good, he would naturally do his best to help. After all, he shouldered such a responsibility. Now that this opportunity had appeared directly in front of him, it would save him a lot of time. We now have a total of 200 members, all of whom are darkness attribute cultivators. Everyone has slowly gotten in touch with them over the years. They're all trustworthy people. Then what's your identity in this team? I'm the team leader, Huang Futing said. Di Beichun raised his eyebrows. He had long guessed that Huang Futing's identity in this team was probably not simple, but he did not expect him to be the team leader. It seemed that this time, Huang Futing had really made up his mind. That was why he had directly done such a thing. Darkness attribute cultivators don't seem to be living very well now. How do you guys live? Bailey Hongzhuang could not help but ask. If these 200 people lived together, it would be a very large group. We don't usually gather together. Everyone hides in various places to live low-key lives. We only gather together when something happens. In that case, you guys have almost no cultivation resources. Di Beichun looked at Huang Futing. Darkness attribute cultivators had always been ostracized. There is no way for them to openly fight for cultivation resources like other cultivators. Moreover, the cultivation method of the darkness attribute had disappeared for many years. Even if they had the cultivation resources, it was impossible for them to strengthen the darkness attribute. With Di Beichun's words, Huang Futing's face reddened. This was indeed their current situation. This is a mess. Bewitching sighed. This situation was not beyond his expectations, but he could not help but sigh when he really faced it. However, when Huang Futing heard Bewitching say this, a trace of anger could not help but appear on his face. Young Master D, our current situation is indeed very bad. We can't compare to you, the young master of the D family, but you don't have to say that about us. If you don't want to, you could just say it. Looking at Huang Futing's angry appearance, Bewitching chuckled. You don't have to be so angry. This is indeed a mess, but I agree. Huang Futing was slightly stunned. The anger on his face didn't even have time to dissipate before a trace of joy appeared between his brows. Young Master D, is what you said true? Bewitching nodded slightly. With our current relationship, do I need to lie to you? Huang Futing's face immediately revealed a smile. Young Master D, thank you so much. Chapter 54:30. You can stay here for the time being. Take me to see them tomorrow. Bewitching's eyes were deep and complicated. Now that he had decided to accept, he had to figure out the specific situation. He only hoped that Huang Futing's vision was not wrong. This way, the implementation of this plan would be more convenient. Yes. Immediately afterward, Bewitching and Huang Futing talked for a long time and learned more about the darkness attribute from Huang Futing. Bailey Hongzhuang did not avoid arousing suspicion. Huang Futing was originally a little afraid of Bailey Hongzhuang's identity as the Holy Maiden of Light, but after seeing that Bailey Hongzhuang did not seem to mind, he was relieved. He had long heard that the relationship between Bailey Hongzhuang and Bewitching was stronger than gold. Now it seemed that it was true. Otherwise, if it were anyone else in the Holy Assembly, they would definitely think of ways to stop Bewitching after knowing this situation. But until now, Bailey Hongzhuang had been so calm. No matter what Bewitching did, she would support him unconditionally. After a long time, Bailey Hongzhuang and Bewitching left. Bewitching, I heard that Huang Fu is a big surname. Do you think Huang Futing is related to the Huang Fu family? Bailey Hongzhuang looked at Bewitching. When Huang Futing introduced himself, this thought appeared in her mind. Because although Huang Futing had been living in poverty these years, from the temperament he inadvertently revealed, she felt that his birth should be extraordinary. Why don't we ask Big Brother? Bewitching smiled faintly. Big Brother is better at the matters between the upper realm families. Bailey Hongzhuang nodded slightly. Okay, it's better to know more. Di Xiaofeng was clearly surprised when he heard the name Huang Futing. He said in disbelief, You're saying that Huang Futing is now your servant? That's right. We just signed a master-servant contract. Bewitching replied. Big Brother, do you know this Huang Futing? Quite a few people know about him. Di Xiaofeng shook his head and sighed. It's just that all these years, there's been no news of him at all. Many people thought that he had already fallen. I didn't expect him to still be alive. It seems like he hid himself very well. Big Brother, what exactly is going on? Bewitching's eyes darkened. He already understood that Huang Futing probably had a lot of stories. The Huang Fu family is also a big family, but they are quite far away from here. Moreover, they have always had a reclusive attitude. Usually, they don't appear very often, but their strength is still not to be underestimated. Huang Futing was once a genius of the Huang Fu clan. Of course, that was before his darkness attribute had awakened. At that time, he was also very well known. His cultivation speed was far faster than ordinary cultivators. He was known as the genius most likely to take over the position of patriarch. When his attribute awakened, he was also the center of attention. Who would have thought that he would awaken the darkness attribute? That was really a bolt from the blue. Since then, his status plummeted. As for why he left the Huang Fu clan, I don't know. Di Xiaofeng shook his head. In fact, no matter which family a darkness attribute cultivator is in, their status can't be compared to others. It's normal for them to be bullied. Maybe he couldn't stand it, so he left. Chapter 54:31. Ever since he found out he was of the dark element, he had been worried. The D family was a family of cultivators and had a lot of influence. If they knew he was of the dark element, perhaps they would treat him differently. However, when he felt the strong familial love, he decided to tell them this news. Even if he would be looked at differently, he didn't plan on hiding it. Luckily, his family still made him feel warm and their attitude didn't change. This made him feel very lucky. Of course you're different. Plus, our family isn't that cold. Di Xiaofeng smiled. Nothing is more important than family reunion. Indeed, Di Beichen nodded. He had always wondered why his parents left him. He thought it was a knot in his heart that couldn't be untied. Now, it seemed like it wasn't a big deal. That Huang Futing wasn't a simple person before. I didn't think he would be willing to be your servant. Di Xiaofeng sighed faintly. Although he didn't know what Huang Futing had experienced all these years, he believed that no one would be willing to accept all of this. Although the master-servant contract had existed for a long time, it was rarely used. This was because normal people wouldn't be willing to accept another as their master. Plus, Huang Futing himself was a genius. He must have thought of this because he had nowhere else to go. A hero at the end of his road was truly lamentable. Big brother, don't worry. I won't mistreat him. Di Beichen's expression was calm. The reason he signed a master-servant contract was because he wanted to confirm Huang Futing's sincerity. For such a big matter, if Huang Futing didn't come with full sincerity, others would make a big deal out of it. That would be troublesome. Now that he had confirmed all of this, he would treat Huang Futing as a friend. Huang Futing was willing to make such a big sacrifice for the dark element cultivators. This was worthy of respect. Hearing this, Di Xiaofeng chuckled. Do you think I don't know you? You're really good to your friends. If it weren't for this, Jiang Wenyin wouldn't have taken the initiative to befriend you. Actually, I think I should discuss this with my father before I do this. Di Beichen's eyes darkened. This was not a small matter. Although this was something that he had to do, he had to tell his father about it before he did it. If his father agreed, that would undoubtedly be for the best. If not, he could only think of other ways. Have you really decided to establish a dark guild? Emperor Xiaofeng couldn't help but ask. Nowadays, the upper realm's expressions would change at the mention of the darkness attribute. Establishing a dark guild was an extremely crazy idea. No, Di Beichen shook his head. You don't plan to establish it? I plan to establish the Dark Sanctum, Di Beichen said slowly. Cough, cough, cough. Di Xiaofeng almost choked to death. Dark? Sacred Assembly? That's right. Di Beichen nodded. It's the Dark Holy Assembly. Since light and darkness were opposing forces, they were in the same position. Since he had established the Holy Light Assembly, he would definitely establish the Dark Assembly. Chapter 5432. Beichen, is what you said true? Di Xiaofeng now felt that his younger brother's idea was too crazy and too shocking. Establishing the Dark Guild would inevitably be targeted and criticized by everyone. If he mentioned the Dark Sacred Assembly now, it would be the same as directly going against the Light Sacred Assembly. Although both sides would have to bear a lot of pressure, it was obvious that the latter would be much more pressured than the former. Di Beichen nodded. Of course it's true. Do you think I would joke about this kind of thing? That's not it. I just feel that it won't be easy to do it. Di Xiaofeng frowned, and his gaze fell on Bailey Hongzhuang. Now, that Hongzhuang is the Light Sacred Maiden. If you mention this idea, I'm sure Hongzhuang will also bear a lot of pressure. Although Bailey Hongzhuang's identity as the Light Sacred Maiden was unshakable, compared to the reputation that Xiao Shou had accumulated over the years, Bailey Hongzhuang's time was still too short. Now that the Light Sacred Maiden's husband wanted to establish the Dark Sacred Assembly, it would definitely cause a huge uproar. Bailey Hongzhuang was caught in the middle, and the pressure would be even greater. Di Beichen's expression became more dignified. Indeed, he didn't care about anything else, but he could not care about Bailey Hongzhuang. However, facing the worries of the two, Bailey Hongzhuang was unusually calm. Don't worry about me, I'm fine. A bright smile appeared on her delicate face. They can't do anything to me. At most, I won't be the Light Sacred Maiden. She was different from Xiao Shou. She didn't care about the title of Light Sacred Maiden. In fact, she was very clear that the Sacred Maiden crystal had already recognized her, and no one could shake her position. The reason why she became the Light Sacred Maiden was for the D family. Now that D Bei-chun wanted to do everything he had to do, she naturally had to support him. It wasn't only Bei-chun's master's wish, it was also her grandmaster's wish. She also had the responsibility to complete it. She hoped that whether it was her master or grandmaster, they could leave without regrets. Looking at Bailey Hongzhuang's indifference, Di Xiaofeng helplessly shrugged. If Xiao Soa knew that you don't care about the Light Sacred Maiden position, she would probably be furious. She's about the same now. Bailey Hongzhuang chuckled. Di Xiaofeng laughed involuntarily. Since you've already thought it through, naturally, I have no reason to stop you. In short, remember one thing. No matter what, I will always support you. Big brother, thank you. The next day, Bailey Hongzhuang, Di Bei-chun, and Huang Futing went to the gathering place of the Dark Attribute Cultivators. After everyone knew about Huang Futing's decision, they all gathered in a city not far away from the Di family. Yesterday, Di Bei-chun had already discussed it with Di Yujue, and the final result was undoubtedly excellent. Di Yujue was shocked when he first heard of Di Bei-chun's idea. He also understood that once this proposal was made, the Di family would become the target of public criticism. However, after thinking for a moment, Di Yujue chose to agree. His words were very simple. No matter what you do, you must take risks. This move was indeed very risky, but Di Bei-chun himself was of the dark attribute. If he wanted everyone to have no prejudice against him, it was undoubtedly excellent to establish the Dark Sacred Assembly and completely change everyone's thoughts. Chapter 54-33. When Di Bei-chun saw that Di Yujue had only thought about it for a short moment before agreeing, his heart was also in turmoil. A father's love was like a mountain. He deeply understood the meaning of this sentence. Di Yujue had never expressed this kind of deep and strong feeling, but he felt it clearly. But it was precisely because Di Yujue was so calm that he was incomparably hesitant. His family was willing to take such a big risk for him, but he put everyone in danger for himself. Was this really the right thing to do? If this matter was successful, then the Di family would inevitably become even more powerful. Because just based on the status of the two sacred assemblies, it was not something that ordinary forces could shake. But if it failed, the Jun family and the Xiao family would inevitably take the lead to make trouble for them. Faced with such a heavy pressure, how would the Di family deal with it? Bailey Hongzhuang looked at Di Bei-chun, a trace of worry in her eyes. Yesterday, after returning from Di Bei-chun, she felt that something was wrong. Until now, Di Bei-chun seemed to be immersed in his own thoughts, obviously thinking about something. But, according to Bei-chun, his father did not refuse. Bei-chun, is there something on your mind? Bailey Hongzhuang could not help but ask with concern. Di Bei-chun shook his head. Nothing. Looking at Di Bei-chun's appearance, Bailey Hongzhuang pondered for a moment. Usually, he would not hide anything from her, and the reason why he was like this now was probably related to her. After thinking about it for a while, a possibility appeared in her mind. Bei-chun, are you worried that the establishment of the Dark Assembly will affect us? She had been with Bei-chun since she was a teenager, and now it had been many years, so she knew the latter's character too well. He had never been a selfish person. On the contrary, he valued friendship and righteousness. Everyone he cared about was in his heart. Di Bei-chun paused for a moment. Wife, you don't have to worry about me. You should be the one who doesn't need to worry about us. Bailey Hongzhuang held Di Bei-chun's hand and interlocked their fingers. She smiled and said, whether it's me or your parents, since we've chosen to support you, we're prepared to take on everything. You don't have to worry about us. You just have to do it without worry. Besides, we all believe in your ability. You will succeed, because you're not alone. All of us are with you. Di Bei-chun looked deeply at Bailey Hongzhuang, his deep black eyes filled with warmth, and his handsome features became increasingly gentle. Wife, I know you've always supported me. If you're not happy, neither of us will be happy. I always feel that as long as a person is alive, There must be something that they want to persevere in. The Dark Sanctuary is your responsibility, and it's also something you want to do. Since that's the case, then don't hesitate. Think about it. There are so many dark attribute cultivators who need your help. They need you to give them a home. Bewitching looked at Bailey Hongzhuang in front of him. She was clearly such a slender and petite person, but at this moment, she gave him a huge amount of strength. From yesterday until now, he had been troubled by this problem, repeatedly thinking about whether his approach was right or not. But now, Bailey Hongzhuang's words had completely opened the knot in his heart. Indeed, everyone had their own mission and things that they must persevere in. He wanted to help his master fulfill his dream, and at the same time, he wanted to fulfill his own dream. Chapter 54:34. Without the burden in his heart, Bewitching's expression returned to normal. Although Huang Futing did not know what Bailey Hongzhuang and Bewitching had talked about, he was relieved when he saw that Bewitching was in a much better mood. In a courtyard house at the edge of the city, Bewitching finally saw a group of darkness-type cultivators. When they saw that Huang Futing had returned safely, a joyful smile appeared on their faces. "Brother Huang Fu, you're back. Huang Futing is back. Everyone come out quickly." Upon hearing this news, all the cultivators rushed out like a swarm of bees. Previously, when Huang Futing had decided to go alone, everyone could not help but worry that he would never return. No one knew what kind of temperament the cultivators of the aristocratic families had. If they felt that Huang Futing's request was too much, it was very possible that they would directly take his life. Now, seeing that Huang Futing had returned safely, everyone finally heaved a sigh of relief. However, after noticing Bewitching and Bailey Hongzhuang at the side, they restrained their emotions. "Brother Huang Fu, why is the Holy Maiden of the Light here too?" "That's right, don't tell me she wants to kill us all." Gazes of hatred and fear landed on Bailey Hongzhuang. Now, Bailey Hongzhuang had become a household name in the upper realm. Even among them, there were people who had seen Bailey Hongzhuang's appearance. Because of that, someone immediately recognized him. Light and darkness had always been enemies. Moreover, Bailey Hongzhuang was the Holy Maiden of the Light, so she must be extremely disdainful of them. If she conveyed their situation to the Holy Light Assembly, Bailey Hongzhuang would have done a meritorious service. "Everyone, please calm down. Things are not what you think," Huang Futing hurriedly explained. However, at this time, everyone obviously did not care about this. They were filled with hatred towards Bailey Hongzhuang. "Brother Huang Fu, I think you've been tricked by her. How can the Saint of Light not hate us? All these years, they have been hunted down by the Radiant Sacred Assembly and had to hide everywhere. Therefore, they were filled with hatred when they saw the Radiant Sacred Assembly. If it weren't for them, he wouldn't have fallen to such a state. Moreover, Bailey Hongzhuang was the Saintess of the Light." Bewitching immediately stood in front of Bailey Hongzhuang. Looking at the hateful figures in front of him, his eyes were filled with murderous intent. "If any of you dare to take another step forward, don't blame me for being impolite." Bewitching was not afraid, even in the face of 200 cultivators. After awakening their cultivation, these cultivators did not have any cultivation methods, so their strength was not terrifying. When Huang Futing saw that the situation was out of his control, he could not help but feel anxious. "Listen to me first. Lady Bailey is not what you think." "Don't you believe me?" The crowd stared at Huang Futing hesitantly as countless thoughts flashed across their minds. They even wondered if Huang Futing had been bribed by the other party. Bailey Hongzhuang looked at the faces full of fear and tension in front of her. Almost everyone inadvertently exuded the kind of fear that spread from the bottom of their hearts. Years of hiding had caused their hearts to become dark and lonely. Chapter 54:35. Even though she already knew that these cultivators did not have an easy life, she was still shocked when she saw it with her own eyes. At this moment, she suddenly understood why the Master Association had given this last wish to Bewitching. It was because these cultivators who had awakened the darkness attribute were simply too innocent. They clearly did not do anything wrong, but they had to live so miserably. Therefore, they had to clear the name of the darkness attribute and let everyone face and accept the power of darkness again. Thinking of this, Bailey Hongzhuang immediately stood up and said, "Can everyone listen to me first?" Seeing that Bailey Hongzhuang had taken the initiative to stand up, everyone looked at each other. In reality, Bailey Hongzhuang and Di Beichen had already seen through their fierce appearance. Seeing that no one spoke, Bailey Hongzhuang continued, "I know that everyone is hostile to me because of my identity as the Holy Maiden of the Light, but I believe that you also know that I come from the lower realm and am not very clear about the grudges between the upper realm's elemental guilds. Moreover, my husband is a cultivator of the darkness attribute. If I really rejected the darkness attribute, then I wouldn't have been with him all this time. Don't you think so?" Hearing Bailey Hongzhuang's words, the agitation and anger in everyone's hearts calmed down a little. In fact, they also felt that this was very strange. If it were anyone else, they would probably not be able to accept such a combination. In my opinion, darkness is also a very powerful force. I hope that all of you can become stronger. I also support Beichun in everything he does. Of course, I also hope that everyone can put aside their prejudice against me. We don't have any grudges, do we? Her exquisite and peerless face rippled with a bright and beautiful smile, like the warm sunlight in winter, sprinkling into everyone's dark hearts. It was as if a gap had suddenly opened up, causing the unwillingness and resentment to quietly dissipate a little. Seeing that Bailey Hongzhuang had completely calmed everyone's emotions with just a few words, Huang Futing also sighed his heart. It was no wonder that Bailey Hongzhuang was able to gain a foothold in the upper realm so quickly. Her ability was indeed astonishing, and she deserved to be the Holy Maiden of the Light. While Bailey Hongzhuang was speaking, Di Beichen looked at her with a smile. He was very clear about his wife's ability. This kind of thing was really nothing to her. Most importantly, in order to completely change everyone's views, Bailey Hongzhuang had to speak up herself. Even if he repeatedly emphasized it, it would still arouse doubt. It was better for Bailey Hongzhuang to speak and instead make everyone even more shocked. The effect, indeed. Since everyone has calmed down, I can now tell you about my plan. As soon as Di Beichun spoke, everyone was silent. Huang Futing has already told me why you came to find me. I sympathize with everyone's experience and hope that I can help everyone become stronger. Of course, my main goal is to completely change the views of the people in the upper realm towards the darkness attribute. Therefore, I hope that everyone can work together and work towards this goal. I wonder what everyone thinks. Di Beichen's gaze swept over the crowd one by one, taking in everyone's expressions. His words were nothing more than a test. Chapter 5436. Everyone was shocked when they heard Di Beichen's words. They did have such thoughts, but because their strength was too weak, without a strong enough leader, they had no way to achieve this. Moreover, the inheritance of the dark attribute had disappeared for many years. They did not even have the cultivation method, so how could they become strong? However, the man in front of them was different from them. He had a powerful background, extraordinary influence, and most importantly, he had the cultivation method of the dark energy. This was what attracted everyone the most. As long as they knew the cultivation method, they could become stronger. Otherwise, everything was just talk on paper. Di Beichun paid attention to everyone's expressions. He could clearly feel that most of the cultivators were excited and hopeful after hearing this. It was obvious that this was what they were thinking. Of course, there were also some who did not care. This was also within his expectations. No matter how good Huang Futing's judgment was, he could not guarantee that everyone was of one mind. Young Master Di, are you really willing to lead us to become stronger? A cultivator could not help but ask. The oppressive life these years had almost caused him to break down. He really did not want to live such a life of hiding anymore. Puffing out his chest, being an upright person, and no longer being discriminated against by others. This was his current dream. Stop dreaming. He's the young master of the Di family. Why should he help you become stronger? A cultivator mocked. He did not believe such words at all. Sensing that everyone's eyes were on him, Zhao Jian did not care. He said, "Why don't you think about it carefully? He has such a noble status and can have anything he wants. Why should he take the risk to help you? What help can you give him? You can't help him at all. Stop daydreaming." Everyone who was originally excited felt as if a bucket of cold water had been poured over their heads, chilling them to the core. Although this was cruel, it was also the truth. They could not help Bewitching at all. On the contrary, they needed Bewitching's help. If it were them, they would not really help. Every man for himself, and the devil takes the hindmost. Over the years, they understood this very well. Bewitching remained calm as he looked at the ever-changing expressions of the crowd. In fact, he never expected all of these cultivators to believe in him. However, as long as they chose to believe in him, he would definitely not disappoint them. I know everyone has doubts about why I chose to help you, but everything I said is true. Since the day I received the darkness inheritance, I've treated this as my responsibility. If you're willing to believe me, you can continue to stay here. If you don't, I don't mind if you leave. After all, I don't need half-hearted people. Bewitching's face was slightly cold. He just calmly and indifferently looked at the crowd, waiting for them to make a choice. Hearing this, Zhao Jian could not help but sneer. Do you really think you're so great just because you're the young master of an aristocratic family? I won't fall for your tricks. As he spoke, he gazed at the others and said, "I'm leaving first. If all of you want to stay here and be captured by the Radiant Sacred Assembly, then that's your problem." Chapter 54:37. The crowd did not know what to do. Now that Zhao Jian took the lead, many cultivators chose to leave after some hesitation. Zhao Jian's words were cruel, but they were also the truth. Even if Bewitching and Bailey Hongzhuang's words were shocking, their years of experience made them understand that there was no free lunch. If there was no reason, the other party would not help them like this. Huang Futing could not help but want to say something after seeing many cultivators choose to leave, but he was stopped by Bewitching. Now, he was going to choose the first batch of people to join the Dark Sacred Assembly. He needed 100% loyalty, and no problems were allowed. If they were not on the same side, they would only cause trouble if they continued to stay with them. Even if there were fewer people, they could still slowly become stronger. Establishing the Dark Sacred Assembly was never something that could be done in a short period of time. It was not until dozens of people left that the situation stopped. Compared to before, the cultivators who stayed were undoubtedly much better. At least, there was no disdain or ridicule in their eyes. "Do you believe in me?" Bewitching asked slowly. Everyone fell silent, but one of the cultivators said, "Just as Zhao Jian said, we're of no help to you. But at the same time, with your identity, even if you want to deal with us, you don't have to spend so much effort." There were often two sides to everything. Zhao Jian only saw one side, and he thought of the other side. If Bewitching and Bailey Hongzhuang really wanted to catch all of them in one fell swoop, then they did not have to come. They could have just sent people to encircle them. Why waste their breath here? That's right. Everyone nodded. This was undoubtedly the most important reason. Other than that, we also believe in Big Brother Huangfu. All these years, if Big Brother Huangfu didn't lead us to rescue the other brothers, many of us would have died. We believe that Big Brother Huangfu would never lie to us. Everyone looked sincere. They had nothing now. Even if they had to give up their lives in exchange for a possibility, they would be willing. From a moment Huang Futing went to find Bewitching, they had already cut off all means of retreat and were prepared to give up everything. Bailey Hongzhuang looked at everything in front of her in silence. She deeply felt everyone's faith. If he hadn't been forced into a dead end, he wouldn't have made such a choice. However, everyone was also lucky because their decision was not wrong. Bewitching glanced at Huang Futing and saw that Huang Futing was also touched. Everyone trusted him so much, which proved that his years of hard work had not been in vain. I'm very happy that everyone is willing to believe in me, and I promise everyone that I will do my best to help everyone become stronger. Everything I've said before is true. As a practitioner of the darkness attribute, I'm just a little luckier than all of you. I haven't been abandoned by my family. I hope that everyone in the upper realm can change their view of the dark forces. I also hope that no matter where we appear in the future, we won't be discriminated against by others. Everyone's eyes were focused on Bewitching. His words had struck a chord in everyone's heart. This was their desire. Chapter 54:38. My goal is to establish the Dark Sacred Assembly. As soon as these words came out, the entire courtyard suddenly quieted down. It was so quiet that even a pin drop could be heard. Almost everyone's eyes widened as they looked at Bewitching in disbelief. They even suspected that they had misheard. Only Bailey Hongzhuang and Huang Futing were relatively calm. Even if it was the second time Huang Futing had heard these words, he still couldn't help but feel shocked. This was simply the dream of all dark attribute cultivators. Dark Sacred Assembly? Did I hear wrongly? Is it the Dark Sacred Assembly? How is this possible? Even though everyone felt that this was simply an impossible thing, they still couldn't help but feel excited. This was really too exciting. If such a day really came, it would be the moment they dreamed of. Bewitching's voice was steady and full of power, clearly transmitting into everyone's ears. Everyone didn't hear wrongly. It's the Dark Sacred Assembly. Darkness and light are opposites. Since the Light Sacred Assembly exists, we naturally can't just be the Dark Guild. The power of darkness has never been weak. We have been discriminated against and bullied for so long. It's time for us to stand up. Bewitching looked at everyone with shining eyes. Every word was full of power, shaking everyone's hearts. How powerful was the power of darkness in the past? It used to make cultivators of other attributes tremble in fear, and now we can do the same. Bewitching's words were like flames, igniting everyone's blood. Everyone's eyes were filled with excitement. That surging feeling could not be expressed with words. Indeed, the power of darkness in the past was so powerful. They had never been trash. As long as they became stronger, no one would be able to look down on them anymore. Of course, this is not an easy thing to do, but there's always a way. As long as we are firm in our beliefs, we will eventually achieve it. I just want to ask everyone now, are you willing to work together with me for the power of darkness to reappear tomorrow? We are willing. Almost at the moment Bewitching's voice fell, everyone shouted without hesitation. They were willing. Even if they had to give up their lives for all of this, they were also willing. For that kind of future, everything was worth it. Bailey Hongzhuang quietly looked at this scene. Looking at the handsome man in front of her who was supported by everyone, the corners of her lips unconsciously raised into a proud smile. That was her man, Bewitching, who was serious, always emitted a charming aura, like the noon sun, shining and dazzling. Before the Dark Sacred Assembly is officially established, I hope that everyone can keep this secret. I also hope to see everyone's sincerity. Bewitching Estan and gazed at everyone. If he was alone, he wouldn't have to worry about all of this. But now, he had his lover, family, and friends behind him, so he couldn't ignore all the risks. Facing Bewitching's words, no one hesitated. Right now, they had no way out. This was the only path that could lead them to greatness. Therefore, they no longer hesitated and chose to believe. Even if they were wrong in the future, they were willing to bear the consequences. Chapter 54:39. As Bewitching fused his blood into the totem, the other cultivators did not hesitate. One by one, they fused their blood into the totem and walked to the other side. When all the cultivators were done, the golden totem was dyed red with blood, adding a hint of strangeness and mystery to it. However, just when everyone thought it was over, Bailey Hongzhuang fused her blood into the totem as well. Seeing this scene, everyone could not help but be stunned. At the same time, the alliance contract had come into effect. This meant that if any of them were to have any thoughts of betrayal in the future, they would definitely be punished by the contract. Everyone looked at Bailey Hongzhuang in shock. No one thought that Bailey Hongzhuang would do this. It was too shocking. If they were still a little worried before, they were no longer worried at all. They had underestimated the relationship between Bailey Hongzhuang and Di Beichen. Even if she was the Saint of Light, it did not affect their relationship at all. Di Beichen's heart was in turmoil. Actually, Bailey Hongzhuang did not need to do this, but she did it to support him. His wife was the best in the world. Everyone suddenly felt that their attitude towards Bailey Hongzhuang was too much. It turned out that Bailey Hongzhuang was on the same side as them. What was more precious was that she was of the light attribute, but did not discriminate against them at all. They had not felt this way for a long time, so they felt it even more deeply. I will arrange for your accommodations later. This city is not far from my family, and is also under the influence of the D family. Therefore, I plan to let you stay here. It will be very convenient for me to come and go here. What do you think? We will listen to the president's arrangements. Everyone smiled. After establishing the contract, everyone felt closer to each other. They were not as nervous as before. This was because they were now on the same side. They would not betray each other. Hearing this, the corners of Di Beichen's mouth rose slightly. You must be tired during this time. It's better to rest for 2 days. I will write down the cultivation method of the power of darkness for you to cultivate accordingly. Similarly, don't spread this cultivation technique to others. All of you are well aware of what happened back then. If it is used by someone with bad intentions, and the same thing happens again, then the darkness attribute will never be able to wash itself clean. Di Beichen warned everyone. If I find out that someone is using this power to do bad things, I will never forgive them. Yes. Everyone nodded. They didn't want the same thing to happen again. If it weren't for what happened back then, they wouldn't have been treated like this. However, everyone couldn't help but be excited. They were finally going to get the cultivation method. For so many years, they had tried all sorts of methods, but to no avail. Now, Di Beichen had selflessly handed the method to them. This made them feel extremely grateful to Di Beichen. They kept this feeling in their hearts. They would never forget this kindness. From today onwards, Di Beichen was the person they were willing to sacrifice their lives for. Humans were like this. It was precisely because no one had shown them enough kindness over the years that they were willing to give up everything when they received such kindness. Chapter 5440. The Emperor Cloud City was the city closest to the D family. Many cultivators from the D family lived here. Because of the many years of inheritance, the number of descendants of the family branch was also very considerable. Over time, such a huge city was formed. This situation was like the relationship between the Shao family and the Piercing Wind City, which was extremely close. With Di Beichen's status, it was undoubtedly a simple matter to divide an area for everyone to live in. Moreover, Di Yujue had long expected such a situation, so everything went very smoothly. When Huang Futing looked at the cultivation method of the dark force that Di Beichen handed over to him, his heart was filled with emotions. He did not expect that everything would go so smoothly. He originally thought of countless possibilities and understood that the possibility of being rejected was the highest, or he would be ridiculed and insulted by the other party. However, he never thought that he would be treated with such respect and treatment. Bailey Hongzhuang and Di Beichen had never been high and mighty. On the contrary, even though they had signed a master-servant contract, Di Beichen had never treated him as a servant. From this point, one could see their character. He was also very glad. Perhaps after so many years of bad luck, the heavens finally opened their eyes and let good luck fall on them. Young Master Di, thank you. Huang Futing stared at Di Beichen, his eyes heavy and full of gratitude. The cultivation method in his hand was the hope of all of them, and it was also generously given by Di Beichen. He only felt that the book in his hand was heavy and filled his heart. Hearing this, Di Beichen smiled faintly. Huang Fu, don't be so formal in the future. Just call me Beichen. Young master, Huang Futing was slightly stunned. He was a servant. Don't call me young master. I know that your identity was not simple in the past, but your luck was not good enough, so now you have fallen to this point. You are also a cultivation genius. Although you have been delayed for some years, you still have a chance to catch up with everyone. Although this is a master-servant contract, I treat you as a good friend and a good helper. I hope you could do the same. Di Beichun had felt some sympathy for Huang Futing when he learned about what had happened to him, and when he learned that Huang Futing was willing to make such a huge sacrifice for everyone, he felt even more admiration for him. Such a person was worthy of admiration. Huang Futing looked deeply at Di Beichun. After seeing the sincerity in his clear eyes, a bright smile appeared on his face. All right. Huang Futing nodded heavily. Beichun. When Bailey Hongzhuang saw this scene, she smiled knowingly and said, "You guys should work hard during this period of time. After a few days, think of a way to obtain cultivation resources. We will definitely work hard." After Huang Futing left, Bailey Hongzhuang sat down beside Di Beichun. Among so many people, there are many cultivation geniuses like Huang Futing. I believe that their cultivation speed should be very fast. Bailey Hongzhuang said slowly, "But in terms of cultivation resources, we have to think of a way." All cultivators needed cultivation resources. If there were no cultivation resources, then it would take more energy to increase the same level. Chapter 54-41. Indeed, this is a problem. Di Beichun's extremely dark eyes were filled with complexity and contemplation. This was also a problem that he had thought of earlier. Although the Di family had a lot of cultivation resources, there were also many family members. Usually, the family members worked very hard to fight for enough cultivation resources. If Di Beichun were to give the cultivation resources that belonged to the other family members to Huang Futing and the others, it would undoubtedly be very unfair to the family members. Now that he had made such a decision, it had already hurt everyone's interests. He definitely could not affect the family in other ways. Moreover, even if he were to take out a certain amount of cultivation resources from the family now, it would only be temporary. In the future, as the team gradually grew stronger, it would be impossible to do so. Actually, I think that cultivation resources should be fought for with one's own hands. Only this way will it be more cherished. In the process of obtaining resources, everyone's strength can also be improved. They've been through so much hardship all these years. Their mentality and experience are incomparable to that of ordinary family members. I believe that they'll do well. Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes were bright, and a confident glow lingered on her pretty face. People who grew up in adversity often had tenacity and perseverance that others did not have. This was also extremely important for cultivators. Di Beichun nodded. "You're right. I've also noticed this. What they need the most now is an opportunity. Compared to other cultivators, they'll seize all of this more. However, it's not easy to find cultivation resources. Are we going to let them go to the mercenary guild? Actually, there's nothing wrong with that. We have enough people. As long as they're more vigilant and don't let other cultivators join the team, they can still accept mercenary missions. When they're strong enough, we can let them go to the forest world to train." Bailey Hongzhuang raised her eyebrows. The forest world was a very good place to train, and there were many precious treasures of heaven and earth there. They had already understood this very clearly after going there many times. The cultivation resources there seemed to be more abundant than the upper realm. However, the demon beasts there were extremely powerful. Even they had to be careful when entering. The slightest carelessness could lead to injury or even death. The cultivations of Huang Futing and the others had obviously not arrived at their level, and it would be extremely dangerous if they went there. Instead of losing their lives for no reason, it was better to use other methods first. If they go to the forest world, won't your secret be exposed? Di Beichun shook his head. That won't do. He understood that this was indeed a very good method, but he could not put Hongzhuang in danger. When the time comes, we can block their five senses and let them enter. As long as they don't know where it is, it's fine. Bailey Hongzhuang smiled faintly. The Chaos Ring had such a good resource. If she didn't use it, it would be too wasteful. We'll see when the time comes. Let's see how they perform during this period of time. When Huangfu comes back, we can ask him for his opinion. Beichen's expression was calm. The reason why they're in such dire straits is because they don't have a cultivation method and aren't strong enough. Once they have a way to cultivate, I believe that they will quickly become powerful. Chapter 5442. After Huangfu Ting brought the cultivation method back to the group of cultivators, they quickly copied the cultivation method. Although they had not started cultivating it yet, just by looking at the contents, they knew that there was definitely no problem with the cultivation method. Because they did not have the cultivation method, their strength had been stagnant all these years. They had tried many methods to cultivate, but they had not succeeded. Looking at the secret manual in their hands, they had a completely different feeling after roughly sensing it. It was obvious that this was the real thing. That's great. We have a cultivation method. My cultivation has been stagnant for so many years. This feeling is really unbearable. Now, we finally have a chance to improve. Young Master D is really a good person. We don't have anything, but he's willing to help us like this. Everyone could not hide the excitement on their faces. This feeling was like a person who was about to die of thirst in the desert, finally seeing an oasis, giving them hope to live. Huangfu Ting looked at everyone's happy faces, and a smile appeared on his face. This kind of cultivation method was simply too precious to them. However, in the next moment, his expression turned grave, and there was a trace of seriousness in seriousness. Young Master D has helped us so selflessly. I hope that everyone will remember his kindness. He doesn't need to bear this at all, but because he wants to help us, he has to bear this responsibility. If anyone here dares to betray him, I'll definitely be the first to stand up. I won't give up even if I have to chase them to the ends of the earth. Huangfu Ting's cold and resolute gaze swept across everyone. He rarely showed such a ruthless and overbearing side, but after understanding Beichen's character, he felt that he had to do all of this. Since Beichen had taken on the responsibility of leading the powerful darkness attribute, he also had to take on the responsibility of protecting Beichen. He would never allow anyone to have any disloyalty. If he found out, he would use the cruelest method to make them regret it for the rest of their lives. As soon as Huangfu Ting's voice fell, everyone who was originally immersed in joy seemed to have been alerted. Their expressions were strained a little, and a serious expression appeared on their faces at the same time. Even if Huangfu Ting had always helped them, they were clearly aware that once Huangfu Ting became serious and ruthless, then it wasn't something that an ordinary person could endure. So, in their eyes, Huangfu Ting was a responsible and dignified existence. Big brother Huangfu, don't worry. Young Master D is so sincere to us. If any of us betrayed him, then we would really be animals. That's right. If I find such a person, I definitely won't let him off easily. Unless we are not human, otherwise, who would betray a good person like young Master D? Almost everyone's eyes were filled with sincerity. Even without Huangfu Ting's reminder, they had already made up their minds. For so many years, they had endured too much ridicule, sarcasm, and belittlement. However, other than themselves, no one had extended a helping hand to them. However, Beichen and Bailey Hongzhuang did it. Even if Beichen was also of the darkness attribute, his identity was completely different from theirs. Wouldn't it be a kind of pressure for Beichen to inexplicably carry a burden like theirs? Chapter 5443. Even if Zhao Jian and the others who are also of the dark attribute come back to contact you, you can't say anything. Huangfu Ting's gaze was deep. From the moment they decided to leave, we were no longer on the same side. Do you understand? Understood. At present, apart from us, don't tell anyone else about this. As for whether we will continue to absorb dark attribute cultivators in the future, we will listen to young Master D's arrangements. Huangfu Ting's gaze was distant, as if he was thinking of something from a long time ago. Everything was difficult at the beginning. In the early stages, they needed to be the most cautious. After their forces had expanded to a certain extent, even if the news spread, they would have the power to protect themselves. But now, once the news spread, what awaited them would be a devastating blow. He hoped to be able to be Bewitching's helper and watch the day when the Dark Sacred Assembly was truly established. Yes, no one had any objections. From the moment Bewitching and Bailey Hongzhuang were willing to sign the contract, they had already decided all of this. Looking at everyone's united appearance, Huang Futing's face also revealed a heartfelt smile. Only in this way could he truly be at ease. Just as Bailey Hongzhuang and Di Beichen were worried about Huang Futing and the others, Di Yujue appeared. Father. When they saw Di Yujue suddenly appear, the two of them hurriedly bowed and spoke respectfully. Di Yujue smiled faintly. I'm here to see if you need my help. Has the matter been settled? It's settled. Di Beichen nodded slightly. At present, the results are not bad, and everyone is trustworthy. However, it will still take a lot of time to reach the final goal. This kind of thing can't be done in a short time. Don't worry. Di Yujue smiled faintly. A good start is already good enough. Father, thank you for being willing to support me. Di Beichen stared at Di Yujue, recalling the first time they met. His father had always supported him unconditionally. Why are you saying such polite words as a family? Your mother is also very supportive of you. Di Yujue chuckled. From the moment we knew that you had such attainments in the power of darkness, we had already guessed that you had probably obtained the inheritance of darkness. The cultivation method of the darkness attribute has disappeared for many years. All these years, there's never been a powerful darkness cultivator. However, you did it. Many things are predestined. You were able to obtain a fortuitous encounter that so many people couldn't. This is your luck and strength. We will support you unconditionally. We. Bailey Hongzhuang secretly sighed in her heart. Di Yujue was indeed worthy of being the head of the family. His expression would not change, even if Mount Tai collapsed in front of him. He could face such a big matter so calmly. Di Yujue then looked at Bailey Hongzhuang. You should thank Hongzhuang properly. As the Holy Maiden of the Light, she is willing to support you in this. If it were anyone else, they would not be able to do it. Chapter 5444. Hearing this, Di Beichen couldn't help but laugh. Father doesn't need to remind me. I've already thanked you. It's all thanks to Hongzhuang that I thought through all this. This is what I should do, and there's nothing wrong with the dark energy itself. I think this is also something that benefits everyone. Just from what they saw, there were 200 cultivators living a dark life, and what they didn't see was a huge number. These people should have had a good life, but once they woke up, all the good things disappeared completely. If the dark energy was no longer discriminated, then everyone wouldn't have to worry about these problems. Di Yujue sighed and looked at Bailey Hongzhuang. There weren't many young people as sensible as Bailey Hongzhuang. On the contrary, young people like Xiao Se Wu, who were unreasonable, accounted for a larger portion of them. In the past, he thought that Xiao So was also very good, but now it seemed that Xiao So couldn't be compared to Hongzhuang at all. According to my judgment, these cultivators probably don't have any cultivation resources, right? Do you need my help? Di Yujue said slowly. Although it was a question, his tone was very certain. From the moment Di Beichen told him about this situation, he had already expected it. Seeing that Di Yujue took the initiative to mention this, Di Beichen was stunned at first, then smiled and said, Father, we will think of a way. The cultivation resources that so many cultivators need are not easy to get. If you need help, just say it, don't hesitate. Di Yujue said seriously. Father, I understand that you want to help me, but I don't want to take up the cultivation resources of the family disciples. Also, I believe that we will think of a way. Di Beichen was touched. In order to help him, his father even thought of these things. Seeing that Di Beichen was so certain, Di Yujue didn't say much. Then I hope that you can think a good way. If there's really no way, don't think too much, just come to me directly. I definitely will. Di Baichen nodded. Seeing that Di Yujue was about to leave, he said, "Father, tell mother not to worry. I will." Watching Di Yujue leave, Di Baichen still didn't look away. Although Lin Yinqing didn't come today, he knew very well that his mother was probably more worried about him than his father. It could be seen from how his mother almost died of depression after he went missing. As a son, he couldn't make his mother feel at ease. On the contrary, she had to worry about him. He was actually very ashamed. Actually, after you came back, mother's mood has improved a lot. In addition, father is by mother's side now, so the situation is different from before. Bailey Hongzhuang hugged Di Baichen from behind, her beautiful face pressed against Di Baichen's back. Mother used to be like that because she resisted everything outside, but it's different now. Di Baichen held Bailey Hongzhuang's hands that were wrapped around his waist, the corners of his mouth slowly blossoming into a sunny smile. "Wife, I often think that I'm really lucky. If I didn't go to the lower realm back then, I wouldn't have met you. When I think that you might be with another man, I'll definitely go crazy with anger." Bailey Hongzhuang couldn't help but laugh. "If you don't know me, then even if I'm with another man, you won't be angry. Maybe you've found another suitable woman." Chapter 54-45. Looking at the deep eyes that were so close to her, Bailey Hongzhuang's heart was shaken by the deep affection in his eyes. Suddenly, her lips curled into a playful and enchanting smile. "So, you have to thank me properly. Without me, you would have been single for the rest of your life." "Indeed," Di Baichen nodded. "Just saying thank you is not enough. I have to show my sincerity with actions." Bailey Hongzhuang was slightly stunned. Before she could react, Di Baichen had already carried her to the bed. "Baichen, you don't have to be so polite. That won't do. Your husband has always been very sincere." Ugh. Before she could finish, her lips were already covered by his warm lips. "Baichen, my clothes, it's fine. Your husband will help you put them on later." In the next few days, Huang Futing and the others had been focused on cultivating. They did not come to find Di Baichen. However, as the day of their trip to the AO family drew closer, everyone's hearts began to waver. I told Daihoan 3 days later, and Dijai's 5 days later. When the time comes, we just have to see when the Jun family arrives. Then, we can be sure. Di Baichen's expression was serious. In fact, he hoped that his judgment was wrong. He really did not want one of the two to be a spy. Di Yujue nodded slightly. "Can you be sure that the two of them did not exchange information?" "No." After they came back, they went into seclusion and did not come out. "Moreover, I've already talked to the others. There won't be any problems." "That's good. Now we just have to wait and see." Di Yujue's eyes were deep. Even though he had already locked onto the suspicious person, he still could not figure out the reason. If it was Daihoan, then it would be easier to explain. However, if it was Daihoan, then it really did not make sense. However, Di Baichen was even more certain that the spy was Daihoan. The day before everyone prepared to leave for the Jun family, Bailey Hongzhuang and Di Baichen went to Huang Futing and the others' residence. Seeing Di Baichen and Bailey Hongzhuang arrive, everyone naturally came out to welcome them. Of course, other than some cultivators who were in seclusion. "Di Baichen, why are you here?" Huang Futing could not hide his surprise. "You guys are busy people. We came to see how your progress." With a slight smile on his jade-like face. His jade-like face. Everyone's cultivation progress has been pretty good recently. Everyone is working very hard without slacking off at all. Huang Futing reported the situation seriously. There are also some extremely fast cultivators who have already broken through. "That's good." Di Baichen nodded. "With your current situation, I'm afraid your progress will be slower without cultivation resources. What are your plans?" "We also thought of this, so we plan to go to the Mercenary Union to take some missions." Hearing this, Di Baichen and Bailey Hongzhuang looked at each other and smiled faintly. Seeing this, Huang Futing asked with some confusion, "Is there a problem?" "No." Bailey Hongzhuang shook her head. "It's because we thought of the same thing. However, with your situation, You must be more careful when you go to the mercenary union. Chapter 5446. Huang Futing was very confident about this. Over the years, they had not mastered many other things, but their ability to hide was getting stronger and stronger. Since you're so confident, we're relieved. Bewitching's expression relaxed a little, and he continued, "We'll be going out for a few days. I'll contact you when we're back." Huang Futing nodded. "I understand. I'll look after everyone. Don't worry." Bewitching smiled and nodded. "I'm relieved when you're handling things." Even though they had only known each other for a short period of time, he was already very clear about Huang Futing's ability. Leading such a large team and convincing everyone was not an easy task in itself. The fact that he could do it was already proof of his ability. "Right, this is for you." Bailey Hongzhuang handed a Qinquan bag to Huang Futing. "There are some pills in here that can help you break through. It should be very helpful for everyone's current situation." Speaking of which, it was fortunate that everyone had obtained a lot of medicinal herbs in the Immortal Cloud Mystery Realm. Some basic medicinal herbs were no longer of much help to their current cultivation. However, to everyone who was still in the Starlight Realm, it was undoubtedly very useful. Everyone had not cultivated properly for so long, nor did they have any cultivation resources. Presumably, the effects of consuming pills would be better. It was impossible for her to obtain sufficient cultivation resources for everyone, but this amount of cultivation resources was still possible. Hearing this, Huang Futing was slightly taken aback. With a sweep of his spiritual sense, he discovered that there were many pills in the Qinquan bag. "Hongzhuang, thank you so much. It's simply a timely rain." Huang Futing did not expect Bailey Hongzhuang to actually give him such precious things. For a moment, he was somewhat flustered. I don't even know how to thank you on behalf of everyone." Seeing Huang Futing's uncontrollable excitement, Bailey Hongzhuang was also somewhat surprised. She hurriedly waved her hand and said, "Huang Fu, you don't have to be so polite. I'm just doing my best." However, Bailey Hongzhuang did not know how precious all of this was to Huang Futing. Even if they were friends in the past, they wouldn't be so generous as to give away such resources. This kind of timely help was really too precious. "No, this is too precious for us." Huang Futing's expression was serious. "Thank you so much." Noticing the sincerity in her clear eyes, Bailey Hongzhuang's smile became even more sincere. "We are good friends." Huang Futing nodded heavily. "That's right. In the future, I won't hesitate to go through fire and water for you." When Huang Futing sent Bewitching out of the house, he told the other cultivators about this matter. He hoped that everyone could understand how precious this gift was and that it was worth protecting with their lives. Perhaps this was a piece of cake for Bailey Hongzhuang, but it was definitely not the case for them. After everyone heard this news, their expressions were no different from Huang Futing's. In fact, this level of medicinal pill was very precious. Just finding an alchemist to refine it was already a huge expense. Even if one went to a medicinal pill store to buy it, it would still be a high price. Moreover, this amount was definitely a huge sum of money. "Thank you, young Master D. Thank you, Miss Bailey. We will never forget this kindness." Chapter 5447. Perhaps it was because she had been exposed to too many schemes, slander, and ridicule, but such sincere feelings made her feel precious. Although they had only known each other for a short time, these people were very real. After Zhao Jin left that day, he did not leave Emperor Cloud City because he was waiting for news of the Radiant Sacred Assembly's encirclement of Huang Futing and the others. He did not believe that Bewitching would be so kind unless there was something wrong with his head. However, he and the others waited in Emperor Cloud City for a long time, but they did not receive any news. The next day, when they went to the courtyard house again, they found that it was empty. There was no one there at all. This made them feel extremely strange. They could not understand where these people had gone. "Brother Zhao, what Bewitching said can't be true, right? Did everyone really follow him to the D family?" A cultivator following Zhao Jian could not help but ask. There was a trace of regret in his heart. If what Bewitching said was true, then they had really lost a good future. Don't talk nonsense. Zhao Jian's face instantly turned cold. Anyone with a brain knows that what Bewitching said can't be true. If it were you, would you do that? After being reprimanded by Zhao Jian, the man fell silent. Then where could they have gone? I always feel that we should have figured out the situation before leaving. No matter what, Bewitching has a cultivation method. Many people had already begun to regret. They should not have left with Zhao Jian at that time. At first, they were waiting to leave first and then watch everyone make a fool of themselves. But now that there was no news at all, they felt that they might have become a joke instead. Even if he has a cultivation method, he won't tell you. Zhao Jian retorted. In the next few days, you should look around Emperor Cloud City and see if you can find any traces of them. If you can't find them, then they must have been taken away by the Radiant Sacred Assembly. Listening to Zhao Jian's words, no one took it seriously. With more than 100 people, even if the Radiant Sacred Assembly wanted to take them away, they would definitely struggle. It was impossible for there to be no news at all. Thinking about it, it was more likely that everyone had followed him willingly. Right now, they still didn't know that when they met those friends again in the future, they would be completely different. In the blink of an eye, 3 days had passed. When Xiren and the others knew that today was an important day, so they had already gathered early. There was no need to mention Ao Ling Xiao. He had waited for this day for far too long. However, when the day finally arrived, his feelings were extremely complicated. On one hand, he really wanted to return to the Ao clan. However, when he thought of his family's misunderstanding of him, he understood that it would not be an easy matter to make everyone believe in him. Even so, he still wouldn't back down. He had to find a way to make everyone believe in him, even if he had to pay the price with his life. At the very least, he could not let Ao Junquan continue to be the patriarch of the Ao clan. Otherwise, it would not be long before the Ao clan would be destroyed by Ao Junquan. The Jun family wasn't a good family to begin with. Now that the Ao family was a vassal, it was fine. But, in time, the Jun family might even swallow up the Ao family. That was something he couldn't accept. Chapter 5448. That's right. I don't think that Ao Junquang is that great. He just took the initiative to distort the truth. If you explain yourself this time, I think you still have a chance. Shangguan Yingying's expression was serious. She always felt that Ao Ling Xiao was too pitiful to suffer such a big loss for no reason. If he couldn't clear his name, even the heavens wouldn't be able to stand it. You'll definitely be fine. Mo Yunjue also said, "We're all here." Seeing that everyone was cheering for him, Ao Ling Xiao also smiled and nodded. "Thank you all. I also believe that I will succeed. We're all here. You don't have to worry." Bewitching slowly walked closer. He had already heard everyone's conversation from afar. "This is all thanks to you. If it weren't for you, I wouldn't even be able to go back." At this time, Daiheoan also appeared. "Are we still not leaving?" "We're about to leave." Daiheoan glanced at the surrounding people. After realizing that he didn't see Zhai's, he couldn't help but ask, "Where's Zhai's?" Zhai's is on the verge of breaking through these 2 days. He's in seclusion, so we won't disturb him. Di Xiaofeng explained. "I see." However, even though everyone was gathered here, they didn't immediately leave. Not for any other reason, but because they were waiting for the news from the spies. The Ao family and the D family used to have a very close relationship, so there was a teleportation array between them. It was actually very convenient to go back and forth. Long ago, they had already sent people to stay near the Ao family to see if there were any traces of the Jun family and the Xiao family. As the waiting time gradually became longer, many people were a little restless. However, no one said anything. After all, the young master was still here. Not long after, Di Yujue and the other elders also arrived. Seeing this scene, everyone was even more confused. Could it be that even the family head is going to the Ao family today? If that's the case, then isn't this a little too scary? Could it be that they're worried that the June family has an ambush, so they're doing this? The group of cultivators looked at each other as countless guesses surfaced in their minds. After seeing this scene, Daehaeon's gaze also quietly changed a little, but this strange look disappeared in the blink of an eye, and his face quickly returned to a calm expression. Not long after, a cultivator rushed over and reported the news to Bewitching. After hearing this news, Bewitching's expression suddenly changed. When he looked at Daehaeon again, his gaze had become fierce. According to the report of the spies, the June family's troops have already appeared in the vicinity of the AO family and are only waiting for us to go over. Bewitching narrowed his eyes slightly. His originally gentle black pupils had unknowingly turned gloomy and filled with a fierce, murderous aura. Along with this voice, there was a burst of exclamations from the audience. Only Di Xiaofeng and the others, who already knew about this plan, fixed their gazes on Daehaeon. There was no longer the gentleness and kindness from before, only coldness and murderous intent. All along, we knew that there was a spy in the family. However, we never thought that the spy would actually be you. Daehaeon. The low and hoarse voice was filled with shock, pain, and disbelief. The cold light that flashed through his eyes made people shudder. Chapter 5449. Time seemed to have stopped. Everyone was stunned and looked at Bewitching and Daehaeon in shock. This news was too shocking. Even if they heard it clearly, they still felt that it was all an illusion. Daehaeon's expression froze for a moment. Then he forced a smile and said, "Bewitching, what did you say? How can I be a spy?" "Yes, Han can't be a spy." The second elder quickly stood up and explained. His weathered face was full of seriousness and seriousness. "What reason does he have to be a spy? I only told Han about this 3-day agreement. How did the June family and the Xiao family know?" Bewitching's eyes were locked on Daehaeon. His sharp eyes seemed to be able to see through everything. "We already suspected you a long time ago. We just didn't show it because we didn't believe you would do this. This time, we decided to use this opportunity to test you. Other than you, no one knew about this beforehand. But now that the June family is already prepared, how can you explain this?" The low and hoarse voice was full of certainty and judgment. It didn't allow any quibbling. "Zhai's also knows," Daehaeon argued. "I can't be the only one who knows about this. How can you push everything to me? I told Zhai that it would be the day after tomorrow, so he's still cultivating in his room." As soon as this was said, Daehaeon was slightly stunned. His mouth was open, but he couldn't say a word. This situation was really beyond his expectations. Not only Bewitching, but Di Xiaofeng and Di Yujue also seemed to have seen through everything. Their calm and indifferent eyes made Daehaeon's body gradually turn cold. It was as if any explanation was useless. All of his tricks had been thoroughly seen through. "Master, you must understand this clearly. We can't wrongly accuse Han of such a serious crime." The second elder looked at Di Yujue nervously. "Although I don't know what is going on, you have watched Han grow up. Over the years, he has always done his best for the family. How could he do such a thing? It's precisely because of this that we never discovered it." Di Yujue shook his head and sighed. Even though he had already confirmed all of this, he still couldn't help but sigh when he saw it with his own eyes. As Di Yujue's voice fell, the second elder's feet trembled. He took 2 steps back and almost lost his balance. "Patriarch," second elder, "don't say anything," Di Yujue said calmly. In the next second, he turned his gaze to Daehaeon. "Haon, can you tell me why you did this?" Even though the evidence was conclusive, he still couldn't understand why Daehaeon would do this. "I'm not a spy," Daehaeon was still trying to explain. He definitely couldn't let this accusation be true. Otherwise, he would die without a burial place. Seeing that Daehaeon was still denying it at this time, Bewitching gave Bewitching a look. Soon, Di Xiaofeng grabbed another cultivator and brought them in front of Daehaeon. "You really won't cry until you see the coffin." Di Xiaofeng's voice was cold, and his eyes were as cold as ice. You pretended to be in seclusion for the past 2 days, but before that, you went to the resource room and talked to this guy for a while. Chapter 5450. Daehaeon's face changed when he saw the person who came. All the blood drained from his face, and he became pale and desperate. We sent people to follow him and found that he took the opportunity to leave the purchasing team and pass the news to the June family. Now, he has confessed everything. Do you still want to deny it? Di Xiaofeng looked at Daehaeon indifferently. He also couldn't believe that the good brother he had always thought of was a spy for the family. It was because of him that Beichun almost lost his life and his parents were separated for so many years. This kind of person who forgets his ancestors was too hateful. After the man saw Daehaeon, he quickly said, "Brother Haoan, you must save me. I don't want to die." After everyone saw this scene, they fell into silence. If they thought that Di Beichun might have made a mistake before, now it was proven that all of this was true. It was just that this was too hard to accept. Daehaeon is a spy. This is simply unbelievable. If the young master didn't come back this time, Daehaeon would have become the young master. There is actually a reason why he came so many years ago. But Daehaeon obviously didn't leak information for a day or two. I really don't understand the reason so early. After the second elder saw the change in Daehaeon's expression, he already understood that everything Di Beichun said was true. Daehaeon was his son. After so many years, he was too familiar with Daehaeon's expression. Even if he didn't say anything, he already knew the result just by looking at his guilty expression. "It's really you." The second elder seemed to have aged 10 years in an instant. His eyes turned red, filled with disbelief and pain. "Why did you do this?" he asked with a sigh, but it was as if everyone could see the second elder's bleeding heart. "The family has always been good to you." Faced with the second elder's question, Daehaeon's face flashed with a trace of shame and helplessness. Looking at the face in front of him that had aged in an instant, Daehaeon opened his mouth and wanted to explain something, but in the end, he didn't say anything. However, the second elder saw Daehaeon's appearance and became even angrier. He rushed forward and grabbed the latter's collar with both hands and questioned loudly, "Tell me, why did you do this? Why?" Daehaeon let the second elder shake his body, but he kept his head down. "I have nothing to say." At this moment, everyone also understood that everything that Di Beichun said was true. Daehaeon was really the murderer who had been hiding in the family. However, everyone wanted to know the reason why Daehaeon did this. The Jun family and the Di family were enemies, and the Di family had never mistreated Daehaeon. They really couldn't understand. What kind of benefits did the Jun family promise Daehaeon to do such a thing? I'm afraid that this reason is not simple. Mo Yunjue's eyes were as deep as black, hiding a sharp luster, but his expression was a bit transparent. If he really hated the Di family that much, he would have been unable to hold back and directly stated the reason after being found out. However, he has always looked like he found it difficult to say. I think he must have struggled in his heart. Chapter 5451. I feel like Daehaeon wanted to tell us the reason, but after seeing the second elder's heartbroken expression, he swallowed his words. Could it be that there's a reason for the second elder to be even sadder than he is now? Bailey Hongzhuang had been paying attention to Daehaeon ever since Di Beichun identified Daehaeon as the spy. No matter who it was, there must be a reason for doing something. But they just couldn't figure out what Daehaeon's motive was. If it was for the position of the head of the family, then Daehaeon wouldn't have set up such a big trap all those years ago, right? Most importantly, why did the Jun family choose Daehaeon at that time? Hearing Bailey Hongzhuang's words, Di Beichun nodded slightly. I have the same feeling. He had also been paying attention to Daehaeon's expression, so after discovering this, he felt very strange. Since Daehaeon is a spy, then could the second elder be a spy as well? After confirming Daehaeon's identity as a spy, everyone couldn't help but turn their attention to the second elder. Daehaeon was the second elder's son. They didn't believe that the second elder was completely unaware. No matter how much pain the second elder showed, they still didn't believe it. I think it's very possible. At that time, Daehaeon was so young. How could he be a spy? Unless it was the second elder who ordered it. Usually, the second elder is always busy working for the family, and he doesn't care at all. Could it be that all this is a disguise? At this moment, everyone was confused. Speaking of which, the second elder seemed to have the least ambition for the family among all the elders. This was because the second elder had no interest in these power struggles. He had always been helping the family take care of all kinds of chores. These seemed to be small matters, but in fact, they were all very useful to the family. However, reality told them that the second elder was the possible spy. This completely overturned their understanding of the family. Seeing that everyone's attention had shifted to him, the second elder was stunned. Then his face turned pale. He quickly explained, "It's not what you think. I'm not." However, the second elder's words were weak as he spoke. He felt that his explanation was ridiculous. Daehaeon's identity was confirmed, and there was no room for quibbling. But as the father, he didn't know. No one would believe him. After seeing that everyone began to suspect the second elder, Daehaeon couldn't help but feel anxious. He quickly said, "I'm the only one. It has nothing to do with my father. Don't wrongly accuse him." However, seeing Daehaeon defended the second elder was a spy to be a spy. He was a spy himself, so how could anyone believe his words? "Master, I really didn't know about this." The second elder looked at Yujue dejectedly. Daehaeon's incident seemed to be a huge blow to him. He didn't know what to say. However, as Haoen's father, I also have a lot of responsibility for what he did. So, I won't have any complaints if the family head decides to punish him. The second elder straightened his back and looked determined. However, when he looked at Daehaeon, his eyes were still filled with pain. "I've always taught you that the family is our root." Chapter 54-52. Even if I'm going to die, at least let me rest in peace. The second elder looked at Daehaeon with burning eyes. He couldn't understand why the child he had watched grow up, the child he had always been proud of, would do such a treacherous thing. Facing the second elder's gaze, Daehaeon felt even more ashamed. His eyes were slightly red, but he seemed to have something he couldn't say. "Father, it's all my fault. Just pretend you never had a son like me. It's not worth being sad." Daehaeon's eyes overflowed with tears. He suddenly raised his head and looked at Yujue. "Master, this is all my fault, but my father really didn't know. Over the years, he has done so many things for the family. Even if he didn't make any contributions, he still worked hard. No matter how you punish me, I hope you won't implicate my father. He really didn't do anything to let the family down." Daehaeon breathed heavily. He gritted his teeth and said every word. He forced the tears from the corners of his eyes to stop them from falling. This man who usually took care of everything showed such a miserable and painful look for the first time in front of everyone. His eyes were unprecedentedly heavy. It was as if there was a mountain that no one could understand pressing down on him, making it hard for him to breathe. But even in the end, he still wanted to protect the only person he cared about. Facing Daehaeon like this, the second elder couldn't control his emotions. In his opinion, Daehaeon had always been a very filial child. He was very sensible and had never made him sad. Even when he was accused, Daehaeon didn't explain anything. But now he stood up for him. But it was because of this that the second elder was even sadder. "I don't need you to speak for me," the second elder roared. "If you don't want me to be sad, you shouldn't have done such a thing." In the next moment, the second elder turned and knelt down in front of Yujue. "Master, everything is my fault. I didn't educate Haoen well, so he took such a detour. I only have one son, Haoen. I beg you, let me take the punishment for him. You can kill me or cut me up, but can you drive him out of the family and let him live on account of what I've done for the family all these years?" Yujue looked at the second elder and Daehaeon in front of him. His expression was extremely complicated. "Master, I beg you." The second elder's head hit the ground. "Patriarch, please punish me. It really has nothing to do with my father." 2. Father. Daehaeon couldn't hold back his tears anymore. He never thought that his father would do this for him. "I'm not worthy of you doing this for me. I'm not worthy." Daehaeon kowtowed. "It's my fault. Let me take the blame. I beg you, don't do this. You'd rather let me die." Second elder, get up first. Dujue couldn't stand it anymore. "I believe you. You won't do anything that will harm the family's interests. Master, are you willing to let Howen live?" Chapter 54-53. Dujue did not reply to the second elder's pleading gaze. He understood that the second elder was willing to sacrifice everything for his son. However, because of the spy, Beichin had to lead a wandering life for many years, and Yin Qing almost died of depression. He could not forgive all of this. Even if he knew that the Jun family was the culprit, he still could not let the spy go. "Second elder, you must know how serious this situation is. Get up first. At least we need to know why Howen did this." Dujue could not bear to see the second elder like this. All these years, the second elder had been doing his best for the Jun family. Jun Linyuan had always seen this. Among all the elders, the second elder's cultivation was not outstanding. This was because he put more energy into taking care of the Jun family's chores. These chores did not seem like much, but they consumed a lot of energy and time. The second elder had never complained. He did not want to believe that the second elder's son was a spy. It was a pity. Hearing Dujue's words, the second elder's face turned pale. He knew that everything Dujue said was true. This matter was indeed too serious. Even he had been thinking that if he could find the spy, he would definitely tear the spy into pieces to vent the hatred in his heart. However, he never thought that this person would actually be his own son. "Master, you are right." The second elder nodded. His actions just now were too difficult for the master. "Howen, if you still care about our relationship as father and son, you should tell me the real reason. Otherwise, I can only die here with you." The wound on his forehead was a ghastly sight. Blood flowed down from the wound, contrasting with his pale face. It made one's heart tremble. Looking at the second elder like this, Daehaeon's face showed a trace of hesitation and struggle. "If that's the case, then I will die as an apology. It's better than seeing my son die." Seeing that Daehaeon was still unwilling to speak, the second elder was also very desperate. He really didn't understand what kind of bewitching potion the Jun family gave Howen. Even now, Howen was still so stubborn. After realizing that the second elder was prepared to die to atone for his sins, Daehaeon hurriedly shouted, "No, I'll talk. I'll say it." Hearing this, second elder stopped what he was doing and turned to look at Daehaeon. Almost everyone's eyes fell on Daehaeon. They were very curious. What kind of benefits did the Jun family promise Daehaeon? Dujue sighed as he looked at the second elder. He also understood that the second elder wanted to use this method to force Daehaeon to reveal everything. "Daehaeon, speak," Dujue said coldly. Daehaeon was silent for a moment. He looked deeply at the second elder. A touch of deep pain appeared on his face. His black eyes were full of sorrow. His deep voice was full of helplessness. "Actually, I am not the second elder's son." It seemed that Daehaeon used up all his strength to say this sentence. The moment he said it, he seemed to have lost his last trace of strength. He slumped to the ground as if he had lost all his vitality. Chapter 54-54. After hearing the news, Bailey Hongzhuang couldn't help but suck in a breath of cold air. This was really too shocking. She had thought that maybe Daehaeon was coveting the position of the head of the family, but because he was good at hiding, no one had found out. Maybe the second elder was also a spy, and his daily effort for the family were all just a disguise. However, she had never thought that Daehaeon wasn't a member of the D family. This news, it simply subverted her understanding. Not only Bailey Hongzhuang, but almost everyone present had the same expression. Daehaeon had been growing up in the D family all these years. How could he not be a member of the D family? Di Yujue and the other elders looked at the painful and desperate face at the moment and didn't know what to say for a moment. This news made them speechless. The second elder opened his eyes wide, and his voice couldn't help but tremble. He said angrily, Daehaeon, what nonsense are you talking about? For so many years, I raised you with my own hands. How could you not be my son? Looking at the familiar face, Daehaeon couldn't help but cry. I also wish I was really your son. Daehaeon's eyes were red, and he couldn't help but cry. Do you know how painful it was for me to watch you teach me and care for me all these years? I wish you didn't treat me so well. You're so old, and your health is not good, but you still leave all the good things to me. Do you know how much I hate myself every time I hear you say that it's enough as long as I see you well? I hate that I'm not your son. I hate that I'm incompetent. I hate that I'm useless. I hate that I can't be hard-hearted. But I don't have a choice. Daehaeon slammed his hands on the ground. Blood mixed with the mud stood on his broken hands, but he didn't feel any pain at all, because the struggle and pain in his heart were far more painful than the pain in his hands. All these years, he had been surrounded by this kind of guilt and self-blame. In the dead of the night, it made him want to go crazy. Even though he had been discovered, he didn't feel too bad about it. Perhaps this was a form of release for him, allowing him to stop struggling and suffering like this. For so many years, the thing he couldn't face the most was saying such words to his father. Looking at Daehaeon's painful struggle and even hysterical appearance, the second elder stood there in a daze. Even if he still couldn't understand why this happened, he already knew that Daehaeon really wasn't his child. If that wasn't the case, Daehaeon wouldn't have said such words. If you're not my son, then where's my son? The second elder stared at Daehaeon, his reddened eyes filled with nervousness and despair. At this moment, everyone felt extremely conflicted. In fact, there was no need to ask such a question. Everyone had already guessed the answer. It was just that the second elder wasn't willing to give up that slim chance of survival. Daehaeon only looked at the second elder with a complicated expression and didn't say anything. Chapter 54-55. How could this be? The second elder was like a puppet that had lost its soul. He muttered to himself as tears flowed out uncontrollably. This was the first time that the usually smiling second elder had shown such a vulnerable and pained expression in front of everyone. How could this be? His wife had died during childbirth, leaving behind her only child. Since then, he had placed all his hopes on Daehaeon. However, he had never thought that the child he had raised was not his own son. How could he accept this? Second elder. Looking at the second elder's bloodshot eyes, the first elder hurried to his side and said anxiously with concern, Second elder, you must hold on. At this moment, no one doubted that the second elder was a spy. On the contrary, he was probably the one who had been hurt the most in this entire matter. Although Bewitching had been wandering outside for years, at least he had returned safely. However, the second elder's child was not so lucky. It turned out that all of this had been arranged by the Jun family. No wonder Daehaeon had done this. He was not a member of the D family. The Jun family is too hateful. They even dared to do such a thing. The great elder's face was full of anger. The pain of losing a child could not be expressed in words. Even if this had not happened to him, he still found it difficult to accept, let alone the second elder. The Jun family is worse than beasts. Bewitching's eyes were as cold as ice. This is indeed a trap that no one would have thought of. Not only did they lay their hands on our family's child, but they also used their own family's child. They are truly despicable. If I don't completely eradicate the Jun family, then I am not Di Yujue. Di Yujue suddenly said. His cold words exuded an endless murderous aura. A terrible pressure was released, and his handsome face was frighteningly gloomy. Over the years, the June family had schemed against them for too long. Even if the two sides often met with weapons, he never thought that the June family's methods would be so despicable that they would even use a child. He didn't care about other things, but he couldn't ignore this kind of thing. If Beichin had not been lucky enough to meet Sidu Yin, he would have lost his life as well. Since the June family had already gone this far, wouldn't he be a coward if he didn't teach the June family a lesson? Looking at the murderous look on Di Yujue's face, the Di family also shared a common enemy. If such an opponent was not eliminated as soon as possible, no one knew what would happen in the future. When Daiheoan saw that the second elder was on the verge of breaking down, he felt a wave of pain in his heart. He didn't want to say anything because he didn't want to see the second elder in such pain. Even if he died, perhaps the second elder would not feel so bad. Sometimes it was not a bad thing to be kept in the dark. Father, you must take care of yourself. Don't call me father. The second elder's bloodshot eyes were filled with hatred. He had actually raised the child of his enemy for so many years. When he thought of his own son, he felt that he was not even worthy of death. If he couldn't avenge his son, then how could he face the child and his mother in the afterlife? Chapter 54-56. The Jun family has indeed gone too far. Bailey Hongzhuang shook her head and sighed. She didn't know what to say in the face of such a situation. Daiheoan's actions had undoubtedly touched her, but she couldn't bring herself to criticize him. Daiheoan had indeed gone too far, but in reality, he was also a pitiful guy. He was placed in the Di family at such a young age, and faced with the second elder's kindness over the years, he must have been struggling in his heart. She could see that Daiheoan really cared about the second elder. For more than 20 years, he had been living under the care and concern of the second elder. That fatherly love was not fake. Fortunately, at least he still had a conscience and didn't want to hurt the second elder. Unfortunately, this reality was far too cruel for the second elder, and no one would be able to accept it. Head elder, help the second elder back to rest, Di Yujue said. No, I also want to know what is going on. The second elder refused immediately. If he didn't know what was going on, he wouldn't be able to feel at ease. However, after Di Yujue looked at Daiheoan's situation, he said, Second elder, if you stay here, he won't be able to answer. Don't worry, we will tell you the whole story after we get the answers. You should rest well. Anger will harm your body. You have to live well and wait for us to avenge the real Daiheoan. Hearing this, the second elder looked at Di Yujue's determined and serious expression and nodded. Okay. After the head elder helped the second elder leave, Bailey Hongzhuang sent someone to inform Wu Weiming. The second elder had suffered such a huge blow, and it was inevitable that something would happen. It was better to let Wu Weiming take a look. Di Yujue didn't interrogate Daiheoan in front of everyone. Instead, he sent someone to take Daiheoan to the meeting hall. He wanted to figure out how the Jun family had set up such a trap. Originally, Bailey Hongzhuang and the others also planned to go to the Jun residence today. However, they didn't expect to be involved in such a big matter. They still had to figure out everything before setting off. Ling Xiao, I finally understand now. This Jun family is simply insane. Previously, I thought that Ao Junquang's actions were too incomprehensible, but thinking about the Jun family scheme, I felt that everything was understandable. The Jun family was most likely the one who came up with this idea. When Xiren was secretly speechless, these people from the Jun family must have a dark heart to do such a thing. These were things that were completely unacceptable to them. However, for the Jun family, it was nothing out of the ordinary. Ao Lingxiao's expression darkened. In fact, when Daiheoan spoke earlier, he felt the same way as the second elder, because when he was threatened and put on such a big hat, he was also shocked and in disbelief. He saw with his own eyes that his own elder brother had killed his parents and then framed it all on his own head. That kind of pain was simply indescribable. The scene just now made him feel as if he had returned to the beginning. That kind of feeling was so oppressive that it almost made him collapse. You're tuning into the Romance Rendezvous YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.